All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be showing you and talking about the two most disturbing, horrific, grotesque, freakishly horrid horror novels I've ever read. That's right, horror novels, not horror novels. Horror novel, Horrer novels that I've ever read. And I've got them, I'm just showing you right up front which two they are. We're going to briefly talk about each one. Now, for each one of these books, I have done a detailed, more extensive review on YouTube. And if you want to find those individual reviews, all you need to do, this is simple, folks. All you need to do is type in my last name, Durfee, into your YouTube search bar. The title of either book. Also type that into your YouTube search bar through some sort of pagan sorcery. Those videos will magically appear upon your television screen. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. But anyway, so let's get to it. Why are these the two most books I've ever read? Well, they just are, and I'll explain a little bit about it. One of the strange things about these books, though, is both of them were given to me on recommendation from other people. Usually when people recommend me a book, I ignore the recommendation. Because I got a big library here. I got like 6,000 books total through my two libraries. This one is the one upstairs. I've got one downstairs. But I pick out books I like to read. I don't really go on recommendations much. Urban Gothic. Let's talk about this one first, and then we'll get to this one. Urban Gothic was given to me as a gift by my friend Dave Call, and he just handed it to me and said, "This is the most thing I've ever read." And I let it sit on my shelf because I don't like recommendations. I just let it sit on my shelf for many, many years before I read it. And holy shit, he was right. It is one of the two most books I've ever read. Now, this one was also given to me on recommendation. Actually, I went and bought it, but it was recommended to me by all of you. All my viewers said this book is seriously up. And I was like, and so many people said that. And so I'm like, well, I'll get it. And I read it, and y'all were correct. Usually book recommendations are horse shit, but these were spot on. But anyway, okay, so Urban Gothic by Brian Keane. Why is this one screwed up? Why is this one so awful? Why is this one so grotesque? This is like a Clockwork Circus fun house horror show, gross out, like unlike anything you've ever read. A brief description is this. Some kids in Philadelphia suburbs go to a concert in downtown Philadelphia. As they're driving home, their car breaks down in the ghetto. They're scared. They flee into they're just scared of the ghetto and the people that live in the ghetto, and then they flee down the street, and they think that it would be a good idea to hide in the creepiest looking house they can find at the end of the street. And this is where things go ass over teapot super fast. You know, most haunted houses, because this is a haunted house book, most haunted house novels, you know, people go into the house, they're in the house for some time, they're in the house for a little bit, and they start noticing little things about the house that are kind of off, and the tension ramps up slowly, and eventually it's like a full-blown haunted house where people are getting decapitated and things. That's usually the way a haunted house works. You kind of like, it's just a little creepy at first, and then more disturbing, then full. No, when these kids go into this haunted house, there's none of that. It's like as soon as they enter the house and close the door, and people are dying. In crazy ways, in wild ass crazy ways. in all the most disgusting, disturbing ways you can imagine people dying, it happens like that as soon as they enter the house. There's no build-up. There's no like, ooh, that's kind of weird over there. Oh, what's going on over here? Did I hear something in the dark? Should I go investigate the basement? No, it's like game on right from the get-go, and it is disturbing, and the things and the creatures and the creepy crawlies and the up individuals that are already in the house. And then more people keep going into the house because the police end up going in the house, and then some of the neighborhood, some of the ghetto people go in the house. Anyway, I won't describe why this is so gross. Just know that it's like Silence of the Lambs dialed up to 11 or 100 or a billion, as far as like grotesque dismemberment and skin suit wearing thing. Anyway, okay, so that's urban Gothic. Now, The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. This was disturbing and all. Like, this one is kind of fun, crazy horror movie splatterfest, fun and crazy. This is disturbing on so many levels because it's based off a real story of the girl next door, and this one is just more of the slow build, like the haunted house slow build. However, it's about a girl who gets kidnapped by her neighbors, but it happens slowly over time where they manipulate this girl into their home and in and out of their home. And not only are the adults in the home starting to slowly torture this girl and manipulate her, but the children in the home get involved in it. And it just spirals into some of the most disturbing, horrific scenes I've ever read in a book ever. And the reason that it's so horrible, I mean, literally you can't look away from this. This book is so grotesque and so horrid and horrific. I don't even recommend people read it. That's how bad it is. I recommend you read this one for fun, just because it's so over the top, graphically violent. This one is so over the top, graphically violent, but the whole time you're reading it, you know it's based off of an actual event. And that's where it gets like, how can people do this to each other? Like, this is just cartoonish splatter, blood and guts. Let's see how freaky and crazy we can get with a horror novel. This is all of that, but real, with a real victim. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And when you think it can't get any worse, you're like 2/3 of the way through, and the last third is like worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But you can't look away. And you're disturbed for yourself for even reading it. And you're like, how can I keep reading this, but I can't stop looking at it? And should I even tell anybody I've read it? Maybe I should just hose myself off in the backyard after reading this. It's fucking bad. This is just a bad book. But it's so riveting. And I don't know how else to explain it. But anyway, go watch my other reviews of these. Anyway, those are the two most books in the world.